people who do bird watching, it's called tweaking or twerking. It's called twerking.
Is it tweeting?
I think it's twerking.
Oh, wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammy and Michelle.
Something I learned when I was in sales after a few quarters is you start to realize there's this strange truth, which is if you go into a new quarter and you're already pacing to hit 100% of your quota, things are going well, you could not close a single deal and you would still hit your quota. Those are the quarters where people, it's like they can't not close deals. They got hot hands. It's like every person you talk to, you're just on. And you're able to say no to all those deals that are too small, or you're much more willing to walk away from things that can come back and grow into better opportunities. On the flip side, if you go into a quarter and you know you're doing poorly, it's not even like you're not at 100% yet. It's like, I have to work extra hard. It's like you cannot close a deal. I remember it felt like the clients could smell the desperation on me. I was willing to take any package. You're much more likely to negotiate down or give a discount. And it was just the truth. And it really taught me something about tuning into scarcity or tuning into security. Because sometimes when you go into a bad quarter, you had to know, okay, I can't let this get into my head, because if it does, I'm going to perform badly. I'm not going to sell any deals. And that's a takeaway that I think is super applicable to life.
I think intuitively we can feel that. When we're doing well, we're more confident. There's just something we're emanating that leads to more luck and more good things.
It's so true, Sammy. And that's why in this episode, I'm excited to focus on how to really shift out of a scarcity mindset for whatever reason you might be there. Maybe you've taken a big financial hit. Maybe you've moved. Maybe there's a lot of uncertainty into your life. And shift into tapping into the security you have so that you can actually continue to build wealth, confidence, whatever it is you need to be the best version of yourself.
Let's get into it.
But first, I want to share a little bit about our partner, AirHelp, because sometimes you need somebody on your winning team. And AirHelp is that partner for us. Here's the thing. Flights, it can seem to be a losing game sometimes. I don't know why. Sammy and I talk about how it just feels like every other flight we take gets delayed. All of a sudden, they're offering you all of these credits so that you can take a flight 3 days from now. And you're like, God, I thought I had a scarcity mindset, but all of a sudden I'm saying no to a $1,000 voucher? Who am I? Point is, that's when the times get ugly when you're flying, and AirHelp is a great partner because instead of having to go through the process of arguing or negotiating with the airlines, staying on hold, hoping for the best, you just give AirHelp your information online, you give them your boarding pass, you let them know what you're flying, what the situation was, and they'll go and they'll try to make those negotiations for you. And the best thing is, you only pay if they're actually able to get you some compensation. So, highly recommend you try out AirHelp, bookmark it in case you're flying soon and you think, I might run into some problems, and I would love to be compensated by the airlines.
Back to today's topic, from scarcity to financial security. When we say financial security, we are not talking about a number. We're talking about a feeling, that feeling of confidence, that feeling of security when you know you have enough, you know you're safe.
It's funny, Sammy, when people ask me about, say, taking time off for a sabbatical, they think there's a specific number they need to hit. And in reality, the number is just a disguise. It's Oz, the projection behind what's actually going on, which is trying to get to a number that you feel secure in. And that can be 0 or it could be $100 million. I can't tell you that because it's a feeling. It's actually not about the number.
You know, Michelle, I really realized this week when we were at our manifestation group led by Chris. Multiple different people had examples of feeling secure, financially secure, and bringing in more abundance, and feeling financially insecure and having trouble bringing in abundance.
It reminded me of when I was in sales. When you're coming from a place of insecurity, or you feel like you have to get that dollar, you have to get that piece of gold that you're manifesting, you're not going to get it. Because for whatever reason, the universe, your clients, they can smell the desperation on you.
So true. And it's funny because Chris was talking about how the security comes from within ourselves. It doesn't come from external circumstances. And this reminded me of when I was post-college or in college. I literally at any given time didn't have more than a few $100s to my name. And I never thought that I didn't have money. Like, I just didn't feel like I didn't have money. Like, honestly, if I had $200, I'd probably be like at the mall and be like, hey, I can buy a purse. And get a purse for like $50 and be like, I still have $150. Like, I just had such a abundance mindset about my money, even though compared to now, I'm like, you didn't have a lot. Versus now, I have more money than I ever thought I would have. Low bar, given where I was at before. But I still feel myself feeling anxious sometimes about how much I have and whether I'll have enough when I know that I have enough. And that's when Chris's point really hit me, that it is something in your mind. Whether you have enough or not is totally in your mind.
Hearing about other people's insecurities and how it's blocking them when it comes to not just manifesting, but actually going into the world and creating abundance, it really helped me see that there are ways that we can build a sense of security in ourselves. The first thing that really stuck out to me was we can actually change the stories that we're telling ourselves. I noticed this about myself recently. I have been on a sabbatical for 2 years. In my 3rd year, I'm working freelancing, I'm doing contract work. I'm really building my career and my entrepreneur business again from scratch. And so my savings has been going down. My savings, by the way, doesn't include my investments. My savings doesn't include money that I have tucked away in different places. It's an arbitrary number that I just stuck in one bank. And I felt my savings going down. I was like, I don't have money, is the story I started to tell myself. My money is going down. I am panicking. I'm on this quote unquote sabbatical. I'm on this journey with my freelancing work. I have an apartment that looks really nice and I'm looking at myself and I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? At the same time, I realized that I could retell this story to myself in a way that focuses on the positive. In May, I had my most financially abundant month since I've been working for myself. Why not focus on that? I didn't even have to tap into my savings because actually I had really focused on manifesting and creating work that brought me joy and working with companies that I was excited about. And when I could shift my mindset, I could shift and see those opportunities. I could see how I don't have to come from a place of scarcity or desperation. I can come from a place of recognizing my strengths, recognizing the good that has been compounding, and building on that. Step 1 of building a sense of security is pay attention to these stories you're telling yourself, and could you look back on the same timeline and focus on the good and create a positive story, a story of abundance.
I love that, Michelle, because the truth is, if you're listening to this, you're living in the United States of America or wherever you're at, the fact that you're even listening to a podcast, probably from a smartphone or some other electronic device, you are in a good place. You have so many blessings. Focus on that because that is also going to reflect what comes back to you. Another way to build that security, an active way to help build that security in your mind, is to make a list of all the positive things that you've manifested, blessings that have come into your life. Keep a document, even include the little things. When we were at our manifestation group, one of the girls in the manifestation group talked about how she was trying to bring in small blessings. She wanted a big blessing, but she's like, let me just bring in the small blessings and focus on that first. And the next day, she received a free coffee. It actually reminded me that this past weekend, I got a free coffee. I was at a store looking for some organic-ish deodorant because I was having a little bit of a reaction. And I could tell that the cashier she was making a lot of eye contact with me. She seemed a little anxious for some reason, but I'm like, I feel like she has something to tell me. Like, I got this like really strong vibe from her. I didn't even know this place sold coffee because it was like a gift shop. And then I got to the register and she was like, the person before you didn't want their coffee. Do you want it? And I was like, whoa, yes. And also magical. I love this idea of keeping a list of it because we can forget and focus on the negative, but these positive things are happening to us every day.
I love that, Sammy. You could have focused on the fact that your deodorant was turning on you, creating a dry mess inside your armpits. And instead, the better story to tell is the universe is sending you these little signs. What that woman said also resonated with me when she said, I'm manifesting something big. That might take a bit of time. So let me, universe, send me a couple small signs. Let me know things are going well.
And you know what? I will say, though I had a reaction to that deodorant, the one I'm using now smells like a sugar cookie. So 100% win.
That is a fresh example, people, because you do not see it, but Sam did just smell her armpits to double check. And if you know Sam, her life goal is to smell like a sugar cookie. Part of this too, Sammy, for me, is actually keeping a physical list. I started to keep a list that I wrote synchronicities, things I've manifested, and it really helps me stay grounded. For example, when you're giving these coffee examples, I was like, when did I get something free? How long has it been? Nobody's giving me free coffee. Negative story. And I realized that I'm taking a writing course this month, which they had invited me to join for free. I was like, that's huge. They even paid me to take it. They're giving me a little stipend. And it's amazing. I'm so grateful that came into my life. Once again, when I'm in a place where I was a month or two ago freaking out about money. And so shifting from that scarcity to security mindset, it keeps you winning.
And the last step in moving from scarcity to security is having gratitude. I was just thinking about me last year this time. Last year at this time, I had just had my thyroid surgery and I had the episode of uncontrolled vomiting that sent me to the emergency room, followed by 3 days of darkness, light sensitivity. It was a dark time for me, literally and figuratively. And it was actually during that time where I watched the Tony Robbins documentary and realized that I create everything around me. And that's when I took a look at my life and I'm like, here I am taking 2 weeks off so that I can have surgery. 2 weeks was actually barely enough time, honestly. I was happy to have the time off, but was super disappointed to be spending it feeling bad. And I was honestly happy to have time off from work where I was just constantly slammed with paperwork and things like that. I was just happy to have a break. It was in that time that I realized I was the one who created this whole reality. It was wonderful in a way because I was able to make a lot of money in the desert. At the same time, it was time to change. I no longer had time for myself and I needed to create a new reality. And that's when I officially started putting dates on everything. I decided the date that I was going to quit. We started planning our move. We flew to Charleston so that we can start looking at places to live. And yesterday, I was coming back home from yoga and it was like a perfect day. The sun was out, as it often is here. The temperature was perfect. I had that tropical humidity that I personally love. And I was stepping out of my car and I'm like, I'm so fit now. Like I'm so much fitter than I was last year. And I thought about that quote. You create everything around you. Everything around you, look around, you created it. And I'm like, wow, that's true this year, but in such a positive way. I've created everything around me because of the changes that I chose to make. And I had so much gratitude for myself in the past for making that decision.
Those moments, Sammy, especially when we're working towards something and we actually start to receive those things, for example, a sabbatical, time off, living in a tropical place that's beautiful, we forget. I have those same moments where I just pause and I'm like, holy crap, I love my life. I live by the ocean. The weather is beautiful. I can drink tap water. I am so grateful. And I know so many of you have also taken action and created amazing miracles in your own life. So take a second and see if there are little things you can be grateful for and express gratitude, because that is one of the best ways to gain and feel secure in your life.
Michelle, a little way that I've been doing this that I find kind of easy, because sometimes I forget a gratitude practice, if I'm being honest.
I appreciate the honesty, and I'd love to hear.
I've just been saying hallelujah when I notice something positive. Like when I'm outside with the weather, I'm like, hallelujah. If I notice 777, hallelujah. If I check my bank account and it looks good, hallelujah. All the time, praising and thanking. Whatever your phrase is that you use for gratitude, I recommend just saying it. Even if you say it in your mind, you don't have to say it out loud. It just re-emphasizes to the universe, you're grateful, and bring me more of this wonderful stuff.
Chain glow like hallelujah. Megan Thee Stallion.
Takeaways.
Takeaways for this episode. If you are feeling scarcity, we are here to flip that scarcity into security, because security will help you keep on keeping on, bringing on the blessings, keep making those deals, keep making those sales, keep getting those free coffees. Security is a mindset, which I forget more often than I like to admit.
And it may be a mindset, but that doesn't mean you can't change it if it's not in the right direction. Some ways to change your mindset. Change the stories you tell yourself. Make a list of all the positive things in your life. Anytime something new happens that's positive, add it to the list. A little Google Doc that you can always fill in, or Excel spreadsheet. Either way, whatever works for you. Just keep track of it.
I have an Apple Notes of all my synchronicities, my manifestations, and you'd think you wouldn't forget them, but it's very easy to. Much more easy to have it on a list somewhere.
And lastly, gratitude. Gratitude is the best attitude. Being grateful regularly just reminds you and the universe that we have a lot of good things going on, and we'd love more good things to come.
Community time!
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time. I love being able to give these shout outs to our community because it makes me feel like I'm counting my blessings. All of you who tell us that you're inspired by a topic or you share something that you've applied, that keeps us going. So thank you so much. And don't forget, buildawealthyspirit.com. You can always comment on the show notes for this episode and let us know what's at top of mind. We love to receive it.
Paul, he loved the parasocial episode and he shared his parasocial relationships, which included house hacking channels, My First Million, and David Perel.
Harris also said thank you for the shout out. And she said it definitely makes her want to reconsider her own parasocial relationships. I love this exercise you're doing, Sammy, of looking through your history, looking at what you are listening to, and then saying, hey, are these the 5 parasocial people I want to surround myself with? There are times, Sammy, when that is not the case for me. Sometimes I'm watching clips of some podcasts called Are You Garbage? And while it makes me laugh, it's not exactly one of the 5 people I want to surround myself with.
Honestly, making that list has been really helpful for me because since then, I've been referencing the list whenever I'm going to choose a podcast. I'm like, wait, let me choose one of the parasocial relationships that I desire. It has been raising my vibration.
Raise those vibrations. Shout out to Alani too. He sent me a message on Twitter. Good episode, Michelle. I thought it was thought-provoking. And I have been seeing the Merlin app everywhere in the universe.
We're talking about the bird app.
The bird app where you can identify birds. I don't know what kind of message I'm supposed to be receiving, but we mentioned it on this podcast. The woman next to me on the airplane had the Merlin app on her phone. I was like, Merlin? I'm like, I have the Merlin app. She's like, it's great. And then I've seen people talking about it on Twitter. And I actually commented, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that the Merlin app is getting so much love. And Alani commented that he remembered it was mentioned on our podcast. So, Merlin app, I think you're like a nonprofit or something, but we're bringing you some new customers.
You know, I think birding is the ultimate hobby. You're outside, you're learning, and you're being really mindful. It's like a meditation in itself.
Not to mention people who do bird watching. It's called tweaking or twerking. It's called twerking.
It just doesn't really sound like Is it tweeting?
I think it's twerking. If you know the answer, go to wealthyspirit.com. Let us know.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and we rethink the status quo.